Don Ciccone.
Yep.
Don Ciccone, thank you. Don Ciccone was the lead singer of the Critters. He sang Younger Girl, and he wrote and sang Mr. Dyingly Sad. He went on to join the Four Seasons, Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons, yep. And he sang lines like, rolling ball of thunder and taking my body under. That's Don. That was Don. And who loves you, pretty baby? That's all Don. But Don was on that one. Then he joined Tommy James and the Shondells. We worked together in the 70s and 80s and 90s. We worked together pretty much our whole lives. I wrote him a fan letter when I was 14, and we became friends. And that was 50 years ago. And a week before he died, he sent me an email, and he said, Brian, I want to do an album of Don Ciccone Sings Brian Gary. And I said, well, how are we going to do that? He says, let's take the old demos that we did in the 70s and later on and everything, and let's put those out. And I said, not just those demos? And he says, yeah, come up with the list and send them to me, and we'll work it out. And I sent him the list, and he had died, like, as soon as he, he probably never opened the email. So I thought about it, and I thought I could fulfill his wish, but I decided I would go one step further. What I decided to do was to take all those demos that were just guitar vocals, piano vocals, and I wanted to orchestrate them. And I worked on this for 4 months with a guy mostly named, most of the time with Peter Milrose. Some of you may know Peter Milrose, a great recording producer and engineer, and an orchestrator too. So I was able to take these songs that were just minuscule little demos and orchestrate them. At the same time, I was preparing to surprise, and also on the album, Lee Shapiro from the Four Seasons and John Piva from the Four Seasons decided to volunteer their services on one of the tracks as well. During this time that I was working on the album, I thought I would surprise my other best friend, Alan Combs, from Hannity and Combs, if you remember the Fox team of Hannity and Combs. He was the resident liberal. And on the day that I called him to tell him that Don had died, he told me he was diagnosed with lymphoma, but he would be cured. He died 4 months later. So I lost two of my best friends. What I did was I put the first interview that Alan had ever done with Don Ciccone, and I included it on this album, and I did orchestrate this collection of songs of mine that I wrote mostly when I was a teenager. I'm really proud of this album, and if any of you want to get it after the show, I have 10 copies with me, so the first 10 people, if anybody wants to get it, I'd be really thrilled. And I really want to thank you all for coming tonight. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen.